Hello students. So today we are going to start our chapter number 5. This is the fundamental unit of life. This particular chapter is related to the bio class 9. So let's start with the meaning of the heading of the chapter, that is the fundamental unit of life. So when we look into our surrounding, we see a great diversity in the living world. We see various type of organisms that include microbes, plants, animals, and if we think that by which unit they are made up of, automatically one term come in our mind, that is the cell. So please keep in mind that cell we consider as the fundamental unit of life, because all the organisms in this world are made up of cell. All the organisms are consist of cells, and all the functions which are carried out by the living organisms are directly related to cell. In other words, we can say all living organisms have cellular organization. So all of us know that living organisms have the cellular organization of their body. It means wherever there is cell, functional cell is present, there will be life. And when we talk about the life, there will be cell. So cell is the basic unit. Cell is the fundamental unit. In other words, sometimes we say cell is the structural and functional unit of cell. So cell is considered not only fundamental unit, we can consider cell as the structural and functional unit of life. So this is very important statement. Cell is the structural and functional unit of life. So these two terms if we explain, structural and functional unit. Structural means all living organisms are made up of cell. All living organisms are made up of cell. Okay, functional means all the life functions like nutrition functions carried out by cell. So this is very important point to note here. All the life functions are carried out by cell, and all the living organisms are made up of cell. So we can say cell is the structural and functional unit of life. Cell is the fundamental unit of life. Now if we look into the historical aspect, and before we talk about the historical aspect, we must know what is the study of cell known as. So please keep in mind, study of cell is called cytology, right? One more term we use for that, that is cell biology. So study of cell is called cytology or cell biology. When we talk about only structure of cell, then it is called cytology. And when we cover structure and function both, then it is known as the cell biology. Okay. Now let's talk about the discovery of cell. So when we talk about the discovery of cell, we look into the history of cell. Please remember, we will learn name of some scientist. Cell discovered by, in previous classes also you have studied, cell discovered by. Credit of discovery of cell goes to scientist Robert Hooke. So you have to remember the name of scientist, that is Robert Hooke. He discovered the cell in 1665. Okay, so here you can remember, name of scientist is very important, Robert Hooke. Now we should look into that. To discover the cell, what material he had used. So to study or to observe the cell, he used cork, a slice of cork. All of us know that cork is obtained from the bark of tree, and cork is the dead material. So what cell observed by Robert Hooke was the dead cell. So when he observed the slice of cork under handmade or primitive microscope, he found presence of closed little compartments. Okay, compartments, or these are just like little rooms. Okay, and for these closed little compartments, they appeared like honeycomb. All of you have seen the honeycomb. So that appeared like honeycomb, and he used the term cell. So one more thing we have to keep in mind: the term cell was given by the scientist Robert Hooke. So we can quickly recap. Credit of discovering cell goes to the Robert Hooke. He used the material, that is the cork obtained from the bark of trees. When he observed under primitive handmade microscope, he saw closed compartments, the little rooms. We use word cell for some closed boxes, and that closed boxes were appearing like the honeycomb. And he only coined the term cell. This is very important. Please remember, the term cell also given by the scientist Robert Hooke. Okay. After that, we come to the name of another scientist who first time observed living cell. So please keep in mind, living cell, okay, observed by living cell observed in pond water as the microbe, and this living cell observed by a scientist, that is Anton von Leeuwenhoek. A. von Leeuwenhoek. So this is very important name of scientist, von Leeuwenhoek. Living cell first time observed by the Leeuwenhoek, and he observed this cell in pond water. So definitely the observed organism will be one of the microbe. So first living cell observed by the scientist Leeuwenhoek. This is also you have to keep in mind. He used, so Robert Hooke used primitive microscope, but Leeuwenhoek used improved microscope. This is very interesting point to remember. Improved microscope. Basically, he was working on the lenses, development of lenses. While developing microscope, he was working in the field of microscopy. While developing microscope, he observed cell, but he did not use word cell. The cell term was used by the Robert Hooke. Okay, so next point we are going to take is the term protoplasm. Protoplasm is very common and very important term. All of us know that in our surrounding we see living organisms, and these living organisms have functional cells. So we have to think that what makes the cells functional, how these cells become functional, how these cells carry out the process like respiration, generation of energy. Some cells help in synthesis of something. In overall, we can say different biochemical reactions are going on. So where these biochemical reactions are going on, and what is responsible for the biochemical reactions? And all of you know, in our surrounding there are cells, which some of them are dead cells also. But when we talk about living cells, all the living cells have a jelly-like, a fluid-like substance present within its boundary. So this fluid-like substance present within the boundary or the membrane of the cell is known as protoplasm. So we will discuss in short about the protoplasm, right? Protoplasm term given by scientist called Purkinje. So this also we have to remember the name of scientist. The term protoplasm given by the Purkinje. Purkinje also mentioned protoplasm is life giving substance. This is very important. Protoplasm is life giving substance, or sometimes we consider this as the physical basis of life. Why it is called physical basis of life? Because all the important biochemical reactions pathways are completed in the protoplasm. So where and protoplasm is present. So if we look into a simple representative diagram of the cell, this is the membrane of cell. This is called cell membrane. There may be in some cell presence of cell wall also. So this is cell membrane, right? So please keep in mind, inside there will be different cell parts, and here there will be very important part, that is generally we say nucleus. Okay, so please keep in mind nucleus. This is nucleus, and this one we label always as the cytoplasm. So please keep in mind all the components including nucleus which is present inside this boundary together make the protoplasm. So this point we have to keep in mind, that protoplasm include nucleus and cytoplasm both. So including nucleus, cytoplasm is protoplasm, and if we remove nucleus from the protoplasm, the remaining fluid part of the cell is known as cytoplasm. So here together we can learn two words. There is the word cytoplasm, and here we have the term protoplasm. Protoplasm including nucleus, protoplasm. Excluding nucleus, that is called cytoplasm. So all the components of cell which is present inside the boundary, which is present inside the cell membrane together protoplasm, and if we exclude the nucleus, and remaining components of cell and the fluid part is known as cytoplasm. That is the basic difference between cytoplasm and protoplasm, and all these life functions takes place inside the protoplasm. So protoplasm basically include the nuclear substance, that is the nucleoplasm, and cytoplasm together is nothing but the protoplasm. Okay, next, to understand in the beginning, to understand about the cell and its functioning, a theory is proposed by the scientist, and the theory which tells us about the basic characters and basic functions of the cell is known as cell theory. So the cell theory was proposed by scientists called Sladen and Swan. There were two biologists who jointly proposed the theory, and that theory is known as the cell theory. So let's talk about the cell theory. This is very important. Cell theory. Cell theory means some very basic postulates about the cell. Okay, so this is jointly proposed by two scientists, biologists. So name of biologists are very important. Sladen and Swan. So you will remember the name of two scientists who proposed the cell theory. Sladen and Swan proposed the cell theory. So this cell theory proposed in 1838. This cell theory have two basic postulates, two statements we have to remember. According to these two biologists, all the living cells are made up of cells. All living organisms are made up of cells. So here first statement we have to write, all the living organisms are made up of cell. Now all of us know that all living organisms are made up of cells. This is the basic unit. Okay. Second statement we have to write, or Sladen and Swan proposed, is cell is the basic unit of life. Basic unit of life. So these two statements or these two postulates are given by these two scientists, and this we consider as the cell theory. So all of us know that cell is the basic unit, cell is the structural and functional unit, cell is the fundamental unit. Okay, after that this cell theory was improved or improvised. So cell theory improved means something more added, improved or improvised by a scientist called Robert Virchow. So remember the name of scientist. Robert Virchow proposed, improvised or improved the cell theory. He added one more statement. According to this scientist, there was a big question in mind of people that from where the new cells arise, from the where new cells come. Okay, they have the cell origin or there is something else. So this scientist given one very important statement, that is all the new cells arise from the pre-existing cells. All the new cells arise from pre-existing cells. This word is very important. So this is all about the how cell arise. This is about the origin of cell. Pre-existing means already existing cells. Cells do not have their cell origin. They come from the already existing cell, and how new cells arise, that already we know. The existing cell divide. In class 9th or 8th also you have studied that the cell of amoeba by binary division divide into daughter cells. So cell division is the process by which the new cell arise, right? So formation of new cells from the pre-existing cell or already existing cell. So this is all about the cell theory, right? Next thing we have to cover is we have to look into the structure of cell. So when we look into structure, shape, size, okay, of the cell, all the cells are of not same size and shape. Different cells have different size and shape. So all of you know the smallest cell is the mycoplasma. Okay. Then similarly we know the largest cell is the ostrich egg. We also know that longest cell is the nerve cell. So all these points you know. Longest cell, nerve cell. Largest cell, ostrich egg. Smallest one is the mycoplasma. So likewise, some cells are very long, some are very small, and there is a great variation in size, great variation in the shape. This variation of size and shape depends on their functions. Different organisms have different type of cell. In our body itself we have hundreds type of cell. Why we have different type of cells? Because these cells perform different functions. It means we can say there is a relation between the structure of cell and the functions of cell. Shape of cell is directly related to its function. Structure of cell is related to function. Cell organization is also related to function. So next point we are going to cover is the structural and functional relationship in the cell. This is very important. Structural and functional relationship. Structural and functional relationships in cells. So here structural and functional relationship mean how the structure of cell is related to its function. So all of us know the shape, the size, the organization of cell, everything depends on the functions, right? So we take some examples. In other words, we can say shape, size. So I should write here shape, size, and organization. Organization or cell, how that differentiate. Organization directly depends on function to be performed. Okay. So one very important example we will take. Okay. So the shape, size, cell will differentiate according to the function. So like we have skin cells, the function is protection. We have muscle cells that help in movement. We have blood cells to transport the oxygen molecules. We have fat cells just below our skin and present in the liver. These fat cells help in deposition of fat. Nerve cells to carry impulses or messages. So we have variety of cell in our body, and these different cells perform different functions. So we should take one or two example quickly. So first if we take example of RBC, red blood cell. If we look into the structural aspect of RBC, RBC all of us know is biconcave discoid. This is biconcave discoid. This is biconcave discoid. Along with this, all of us know there is presence of a pigment, red pigment, that is called hemoglobin. Okay, presence of hemoglobin, biconcave discoid shape, and absence of nucleus. Please remember, absence of nucleus. So only three structural aspects we are going to cover. Okay, why it is this cell has certain shape like rafting boat? Because this cell have to flow, or this cell have to move with the stream of the plasma of the blood. These blood cells keep roaming in our body. They carry oxygen from our lungs to the all part of body. That's why they have to move with the fluid, and to move with the fluid, this shape is the most suitable. If we say these are fibrous, then they will be not able to move. Okay, so this particular shape of cell is most suitable for the movement with the stream of the blood. They have hemoglobin, so they can carry the oxygen. Right? This pigment is the respiratory pigment and help in transport of oxygen. There is no need of nucleus because they need not to control or regulate any function. Their function is only to uptake the oxygen and to transport the oxygen to different part of the body. So function, if we say, this is all about the structure, and if we relate it with the function, that is nothing but the transport of oxygen. Similar many examples are given in our book. One more example quickly we can take. That is muscle cell. Okay, muscle cells. If you have seen muscle cells are always spindle shape. Okay, they are either filamentous, spindle shape. Okay, elongated filament. So they are elongated. Okay, fibers, or shape is here cell given in the spindle shape, right? So this shape mainly consists of proteins, protein fibers. Muscle cells have a lot of protein fibers. Actin and myosin protein is present, and its shape, spindle shape, is most suitable for the functioning of muscle. Muscle cell help in movement. All of us know muscle cells help in movement. All the movement in our body are due to muscle cell. And how muscle cells help in movement? By contraction and relaxation. Okay, so you can see this shape is most suitable for contraction and relaxation. If they are spherical, contraction will be very less. They are filamentous, so they can contract. They are made up of protein fibers, they show the powerful contraction, and due to that only we can do different functions. Our body organs can move. Similarly, if you take neuron too long, so they need to carry impulses from one part to another part. Fat cells have large vacuole. These vacuole easily store the fat. So this is all about how the structure. Similarly, in plant also, xylem cells help in transport. They are dead and hollow from inside. Always keep in mind the structure of cell will be directly depends on the function of cell. Okay, so that's all. We will continue in the next video about the different type of cells, cell number, etc. Thank you.